Good afternoon and welcome to CEC Gurukul lecture. In this lecture, we are going to understand the perspective on social inequality. Basically, we are going to make an effort in terms of analyzing and problematizing the concept of inequality, specifically in how the classical thinkers have made an attempt to understand this. Now, social inequality is something which is formed in all society. It is a broad problem. However, it has been theorized or it has been understood from different perspectives. If we refer to sociology, there have been different perspectives in terms of understanding social inequality. In today's lecture, the focus is to understand the Marxian perspective on social inequality. We are going to understand Karl Marx's analysis of class situation, class conflict to make sense of social inequality, specifically in the modernized, industrialized Western society. So, sociology has provided some of the major theoretical traditions that have been influential in shaping modern thought and issues of social inequality. All theories of class and inequality focuses on two basic issues. Number one, why is there inequality in societies? Number two, is inequality inevitable part of human conditions? Other issues, for example, is inequality necessary or who benefits from inequality, will stem out from the answer to the two fundamental questions. So, let us now try to understand Karl Marx and his theory of social inequality. So, we know that Karl Marx was a giant in social science and he left an enduring mark despite living in the 19th century. His ideas remains fundamental in the fields like sociology, political science and economics. Karl Marx's work touched nearly every aspect of society, making him hard to pigeonhole into a single discipline. He emphasized social class and inequality, giving them central roles in social analysis. However, grasping the entirety of Marx's contribution to understanding inequality is a complex task with countless interpretations. This complexity stems from the scattered writings supplemented by his associate Friedrich Engels. Marx also tied together ideas about historical change, capitalism and a utopian future. Marx gave class a special place in social analysis and offered related terms and concepts that today remain basic point of inquiry in studying social inequality. As an explanation of inequality in society, Marx's work encompassed a sweeping theory of socio-historical change, explanation of capitalist economic system, and the way in which the social change is linked or is hooked up to the materialistic transformation. And that is why much of the focus or the analysis of Marx is to understand the economic foundation of Marx's theory. At the heart of Marx's theory about inequality is the idea that a society's economic structure plays a critical role. Marx believed that economic institutions were so powerful that they shaped the entire society. So, the economy or the materialist modes of production was the central idea which kind of made Marx look into the changes that was taking place. So, in simple word, Marx says that if the economy changes, then there will be a change in the social and cultural structure. He saw society's dynamics, that is, the society is a dialectical relationship, and whatever happens in the previous stage kind of leads to the demise of that stage, but at the same time leads to the emergence of a new stage. He saw society's dynamics starting with people's effort to meet their basic needs like food and shelter. This economic activity gives rise to a society's culture, including its law, religion, education, and politics. In other words, how people work together to fulfill their needs influence all aspects of social life. Marx stressed the changes in the way people produced what they need, called the modes of production. And when modes of production change, it changes the belief and ideas, and that brings about a transformation in society. The modes of production that he's thinking of that is changing for the emergence of capitalism is the shift from collective communism to the private ownership of production. So, he sees capitalism as the emergence of capitalism with the growth in private ownership of property. In a sense, economic reality drives social consciousness and power dynamics. This focus on economic is fundamental to understanding inequality, according to Marx, making it a cornerstone of his thinking. Karl Marx believed that a society's economic foundation shapes everything, and that is why his theory is termed as dialectical materialism. And we look into the material change. Material is all that has a value that can be purchased with in exchange of money. So, the material change was the foundation for the emergence of inequality. So, if the society relies on farming, its family, religion and laws will revolve around agriculture. But if it shifts from farming, agriculture to industry, there will be a change in the religion, family, culture. Why? Because the economy is changing, and with the change in the economy, that is in an industry, they would be requiring various categories of individual. One who will invest, one who will own the capital, and the other who will take a wage from that. And therefore, there would be emergence of two class based on the inequality of modes of access to modes of production. Karl Marx saw societal change as driven by change in how many people produce what they need. Like going from windmill to steam mill is a shift from feudalism to capitalism. Now, if you have a windmill production, then you would require the effort of all of them working together. But when we shift to the steam mills, then there will be a requirement of an individual who will own the steam mill, who will buy that, and the others who will work on it. So, the one who invests the capital will be the owner of the means of production, and the others would be working for them in return of wage. So, the two distinct or opposed classes emerge. So, with shift towards market, there was also change in the kind of way consumption, production and distribution was taking place. And with the change in the consumption, production and distribution, it led to change in the family system, in the religious practices and also in the political realm. So, when we look into Marx's theory of inequality, what is very profound about his theory is the idea of class division. Marx believed inequality comes from one who controls the things needed for a production, and and from those who kind of do not have the means to own it. So, if you have the means to own production, means of production, that is land, capital and other raw material for production, you have invested, and therefore, you will, the one who invests or is the capitalist will be able to take benefit of the surplus value. The other group which is working, who are dependent on the capitalist, will not get a share in the surplus value, but they will only get the minimum, and this also is not enough for the subsistence living, and therefore, the argument is that those who do not own means of productions are exploited by the capitalist class. So, the two main groups, those who own these resources and those who do not. relying on their labor to survive. So, one group is those who have capital to invest, and the other group who are using their labor to be able to kind of even survive or kind of have 2 times food. The owner gains most wealth even though the worker creates it. So, the owner's physical labor is kind of comparatively less compared to the worker who is creating the product. But since the means of production is owned by the owner, the product also belongs to the first class, and the second, that is those who are creating the product, are kind of denied any right in it. In all societies like Asian slaves, feudal serfs or modern capitalists, these dual division existed. So, you had two class, one say the feudal serfs, you had the feudal lords, and then you had the serfs who worked for them. So, they have always been two antagonistic group who have been dependent on each other, but at the same time there has also been a relationship of exploitation. In Karl Marx's view, society divides into two main groups: capitalist who own businesses and worker or the working class who sell their labor to survive. This division creates extreme inequality. Capitalists have three sources of power they control: the means of production, that is the resources required to produce, influence the government, and shape society's beliefs and values. So, in a way, they kind of start having a hegemonic control over the society. Workers, the fact that they lack the ownership right, they have to follow the capitalist rule and accept low wages. Marx believed real change could only come through a revolution where workers take control of resource. And how will this happen? This will happen according to Marx when the class consciousness increasing, and this consciousness of belonging to a group which is exploited by the owner, the realization that everyone is into the same position, there will be a class conflict. So, Marx believed that societies are divided into two groups, the capitalist or and those who own businesses, and the working class. Now, this division creates inequality because the capitalist gets the majority of the reward, the surplus value, while workers get nothing and they are exploited. Marx saw a power struggle between these groups driven by their differing interests. This class conflict leads to social change. Marx argued that as long as private ownership of property exists, class conflict was certain. So, his idea was to kind of do away with class itself, because as long as there will be two class, one that is earning the reward and the other which is exploited, inequality will continue. So, what is required is to do away with private ownership of property and go back to the communal ownership where everybody has equal right in the modes of production. So, if we look into Marx's theory of historical transformation, he says that the societies go through different stages. So, from feudalism replaced by slavery, capitalism replaced by feudalism, and socialism would replace capitalism. Each time a new ruling class emerged. According to Marx, capitalism would eventually give way to a more advanced system where the means of production are collectively owned. This change would happen because of the conflict between the capitalist and the workers. When workers become aware of the true class interest, they become a political group prepared to confront the capitalist in a revolution. After this revolution, Marx envisioned two stages: socialism and communism. In socialism, workers would control resources, ending workers' exploitation. The state would still exist, but would be a proletarian state representing the workers. In communism, there would be no social class and society would be truly equal. The state would wither away because there would be no more class interest to protect. Marx was hopeful that inequality could be eliminated through this process, but he recognized it would take time. However, his theory of the shift from capitalism to socialism and communism kind of never empirically took place, and with the collapse of the Soviet Russia, Marxian theory kind of took a backseat, and many kind of termed his Marxist theory as an utopian ideology. So what was there that led to the failure of Marx's vision? Though his theory was insightful, it faced challenges in the modern world. In advanced capitalist societies, workers focused on getting a large share of the wealth rather than revolting. Complex class structure and stock ownership among workers made it hard to see a clear capitalist class. Moreover, state intervention, strong labor union improved workers' condition, defying Marx's predictions. Even in the society that had socialist revolution like Russia, China, Cuba, they didn't exactly follow Marx's idea. Marx believed in a class as the primary social division didn't fully apply in diverse societies like the United States, where race, ethnicity, and gender often played more significant role in shaping inequalities and conflict. Yet, Marx's contribution to social theory have a lasting impact. He emphasized the role of social class in shaping conflicts and societal changes, a fundamental concept in social science. And therefore, despite the criticism, despite being termed as an utopian ideology, there are several enduring points of Marx's theory, and his contribution to social theory has a lasting impact. He emphasized the role of social class in shaping conflict and societal change, which remains fundamental. Starting from Marx, class became a basic idea in social science that entered all social analysis. So, Marx provided a new dimension to understand social inequality. Further, Marx established a perspective that linked economy and politics, that is termed as political economy. And this linking of economy and politics help us to recognize that two are totally messed up in the modern society, and they are responsible for the creation, the emergence of new class, and also for the existence of class system per se. Marx also highlighted how society's ideas and values are influenced by the dominant class, shaping our perception of the world. This perspective reminds us that what we consider normal or just often reflects the interest of those in the power. So, the concept of hegemonic power or the ideas or of the ruler becomes significant. Even those oppressed by a system can adopt its value. In essence, Marx's ideas continue to influence how we understand the connection between economics, politics, and ideology in modern society. However, despite the kind of endurance in Marx's theory, several attempts has been made to revise Marx's theory, and this has been termed as neo-Marxist approach. Now, the neo-Marxist theories have updated his ideas to fit modern capitalism. They recognize that today's workforce is more complex than Marx had envisioned. Eric Olin Wright, a prominent thinker, suggests a refined class structure considering factors like control of economic resources and job roles. Wright's theory acknowledges that some people may both exploit and be exploited, like corporate managers or certain profession. Now, the argument is that exploitation is not necessarily happening at the lower level, it could happen at any level of the strata. This adapted model keeps the core Marxian idea that class depends on your role in the productive system. Marx's theories are seen as a method to understand society, and it is not a rigid document. They have influenced how we think about inequality, just as Darwin and Einstein changed biology and physics respectively. Next theory, which is very important and we will discuss in the next lecture, is Max Weber. He built upon Marx's idea but added more dimension to the concept of inequality. So, Marx was focusing on economic factor, Weber introduced the three-dimensional model, the class, status and party. And he considered class based on economic status, based on social standing, and party based on political power. So, both had different views on why inequality exists in society. Marx was saying inequality is coming from the modes of production, and Weber was kind of giving us a more holistic understanding. And Marx saw capitalist end as inevitable. Weber, on the other hand, saw inequality arising from complexities of modern society. He thought power elites control bureaucracy and not just property. So, contemporary debates, we include Marx, Weber and the more 20th century thinkers, focus on inequality as necessarily functionalist or mainly result of powerful individuals. So, with this we have kind of understood how Marx problematized and understood the concept of social inequality through the concept of class. For reference, we can read Marger M.N. Published in 1999, Social Inequality, Patterns and Processes, and the Marx and Weber is discussed in chapter 2. With this, I come to an end of this lecture. Thank you.